Let's construct an ogive chart of the test scores. An ogive is a graphical representation of a cumulative frequency distribution. It uses a class boundary and cumulative frequency. Let's add a column for class boundaries. To find the class boundaries, just subtract 0.5 from the lower limits and add 0.5 to the upper limits. The lower limits are 10, 13, 16, 19, and 22. The upper limits are 12, 15, 18, 21, and 24. Again, to find the class boundary, just subtract 0.5 from the lower limit and add 0.5 to the upper limit. Let's subtract 0.5 from each of the lower limits. 22 minus 0.5 is 21.5. 19 minus 0.5 is 18.5. 16 minus 0.5 is 15.5. 13 minus 0.5 is 12.5, and 10 minus 0.5 is 9.5. Add 0.5 to each of the upper limits. 24 plus 0.5 is 24.5, 21 plus 0.5 is 21.5, 18 plus 0.5 is 18.5, 15 plus 0.5 is 15.5, and 12 plus 0.5 is 12.5. Let's add another column, the less than cumulative frequency. To find the less than cumulative frequency, just add the frequencies starting from the frequency of the lowest class interval. Our lowest class interval is 10 to 12, and the frequency is 4. Copy 4, then add the frequency of the next upper class. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 plus 7 is 19. 19 plus 6 is 25. And 25 plus 5 is 30. What does it mean? This means that 4 students got scores less than 12.5. 12 students got scores less than 15.5. 19 students got scores less than 18.5. 25 students got scores less than 21.5. And 30 students got scores less than 24.5. Let's add another column for the x and y coordinates. The x coordinates, or the values of x, are the upper class boundaries and the lower boundary of the lowest class interval. And the y coordinates are the values in the less than cumulative frequency. How many students got scores below 24.5? 30. 21.5, 25. 18.5, 19. 15.5, 12. 12.5, 4. How many students got scores below 9.5? 0. Don't forget to include the lower boundary of the lowest class interval as one of the x coordinates. Okay, let's construct an ogive chart using 3 simple steps: draw, plot, and connect. First, draw the axes of coordinates and label. The values along the horizontal line, or the x-axis, are the upper class boundaries and the lower boundary of the lowest class interval. And the values along the vertical line, or y-axis, are based from the less than cumulative frequency. Next, plot the points. By convention, a less than ogive begins on the horizontal axis at the lower class boundary of the lowest class interval. The number of students who got scores less than 9.5 is 0. The number of students who got scores less than 12.5 is 4. The number of students who got scores less than 15.5 is 12. The number of students who got scores less than 18.5 is 19. The number of students who got scores less than 21.5 is 25. And the number of students who got scores less than 24.5 is 30. Draw, plot, then connect. Connect the points from 9.5 to 12.5 to 15.5 to 18.5 to 21.5 and finally to 24.5. Now this is our less than ogive. An ogive is a graph that shows how many data values lie above or below a particular value in a data set.